Whispered Chapter Productions presents One Day at a Time. Created by Renita Bowers. James has been heavy on my mind these last few days. I ain't slept a wink. Lee tossed and turned between Mimi and myself all night, whispering about voices calling from the windows. He said that they knew his name. Mama tried to laugh it off, but I saw how her hand hovered over the pistol sitting on the nightstand. We all feel it now, that protective heaviness. It won't let you rest, it just waits. The air's been different since the storm started last week. Thick, like syrup humming with something alive. You can feel it, like a heartbeat under your feet. Even the crickets stopped singing. Nights used to buzz with life, but now it's just the wind, and sometimes, if you're real still, the faintest sounds of chimes come out in the woods. I went into town yesterday morning to trade for flour, maybe some milk. When I got there, half the square was gathered around young Caleb Turner. Boy's usually strong as a mule, always helping at the mill, but that morning, he was laid out on a bench, pale as the moon, sweat pouring off him like he'd been running for miles. For a second, I thought another sickness was making its way through Sedgepoint. The way the light hit his skin, it looked damp and gray, like something that'd been left out too long in the rain. He kept muttering to himself, saying the trees whispered his name while he was out hunting. Folks didn't know what to do with that. Some said to lock him up, and others started praying over him. A few swore he was just drunk. And most of them just stood there, staring at him like they were looking at their own fate. Then I saw it. A few men dragging up a wheelbarrow. Something large was under an old quilt. Every voice in that square went silent as it rolled closer. Caleb saw it and broke down sobbing. Now there ain't nothing wrong with a man showing emotion. You'd think after all we've been through we'd be used to it. But there's no getting used to losing someone you love. No numbness that comes with losing a brother. After a while, Caleb calmed down enough to speak.
We went down past the holler this morning to catch that 8-point buck we've been tracking. It was cold, too cold for July. I told Tim we should turn back, but pride got the better of me. We found the buck and followed it all the way to Travis Eve Road.
That's when my blood ran cold. Travis Eve Road used to be the path soldiers took during the war, before they found the bodies piled knee-high by the creek bed. It's also where I was the other day when I ran into the hag. The whole place feels wrong, like the air remembers screams.
We saw this thing. Thought it was a woman running through the woods, naked as the day she was born. Tim called out to her, and the next thing I knew, he was that.
He pointed toward the wheelbarrow. I stepped closer, dread weighing down every step. I didn't want to see what was under that quilt. I wanted to remember Tim as the dark-haired boy who played spoons at the town dances. Just 16, still full of life. But I lifted the sheet anyway. And what I saw, Lord help me, I'll never forget it. Beneath that sheet lay a man with not an inch of flesh left of his bones. It was as though the skin had been peeled away perfectly, surgically. The edges smooth, no blood, no mess, just gone. He didn't look like a boy no more. He didn't look human anymore. Caleb screamed, reliving the horror. Sheriff Vereen stepped in to break up the crowd.
All right, folks, show's over. Got word from the Capitol this morning. Effective immediately, curfew's in place. Nobody outside after 5 p.m., and kids under 16 need an adult with them at all times. I don't know what's happening out here, but we need to stay vigilant.
What happened to the Turner boys?
I thought the war was over.
What's happening to our town?
Now, folks, I know you're scared, but the Lord don't give us nothing we can't handle. Come to the church at noon for prayer. Evil can't stand where there's faith.
I didn't want to go to another prayer meeting. I needed to fill Mama in on the curfew and make certain things were settled at the house before dark. On the way home, I cut across the hayfields. The crops should have been turning gold by now, but what I saw wasn't right. Corn stalks stretching taller than the fence posts, leaves curled like claws. So I grabbed one and split it open, and the inside was black rot, though the husk looked fresh. It's like the earth don't know how to grow no more. Even the pines smell wrong, like sulfur and old blood. The birds were silent as a grave until a heron rose from the marsh. At first I thought it was a blessing. Something graceful left in this world, but it didn't move right. Wings too heavy, too slow. And when it cried out, it wasn't a heron's cry. It was hollow, sharp enough to split bone. It landed down on a log and stared at me, eyes emptier than a whale. And that's when I ran. Come nightfall, we barred the doors and shuttered the windows, kept lanterns lit in every room, shadows stretching long across the walls.
You think this curfew's gonna last, Lucy? You remember how it went those first few years.
I don't know, Mama, but I'm doing what we did then. We'll board up the house and take shifts sleeping. That's when we heard it. The knocking. Wood on wood. Not on the door, not on the walls, but somewhere out in the tree line. Steady, patient like a clock ticking down. It circled the house. I gripped James's rifle tight and held Lee close till he fell asleep. Then I tucked him in under the counter, deep in the center of the house, and looked out through the cracks in the shutters. And that's when I saw them. 2 round orbs moving along the edge of the woods. It took me a minute to realize they were eyes, and they weren't human. The knocking went on for hours. Sometimes it sounded like it was right behind the walls, sometimes far off. Once it echoed in from the chimney. Mama started praying under her breath, clutching her hands together so tight I thought she'd draw blood. I kept thinking, what if it's James? What if he's out there trying to come home, but then the eyes blinked, sideways. And I knew it weren't no man. Around 5 a.m., it stopped. Just gone. But the silence it left behind felt heavier than before. This morning, there was a new notice posted at the store. The pastor's calling another meeting. Prayer, unity, faith, all that. But under it, a government message stamped in brass.
Report unusual behavior immediately. Do not engage with unknown persons or animals.
I don't know what's walking in those trees. Don't know if it's men, beasts, or something older than both, but I know this much. Sedgepoint ain't what we built it to be anymore. The dark, it don't feel empty no more. I tried to sleep again. The house feels wrong, like the walls are breathing. Every now and then I swore I heard Lee's toys rolling across the floor, but when I checked on him, they were sitting still. I didn't remember drifting off, but I woke to a low hum, like someone singing through the floorboards. Mama was sitting in the kitchen, her eyes glazed over, and she was humming to herself. When I touched her shoulder, she near jumped out of her skin.
Lucille, there's something wrong with the ground.
We went out back, and sure enough, the soil had cracked in thin, perfect lines, stretching from the tree line all the way up to the porch. Steam rose from them like a breath. I knelt and pressed my hand to the dirt. It was warm, alive. Then faint beneath my palm, I heard it again, the knocking. But this time, it was below. The earth pulsed once, twice, and then went still. And that's when I realized it wasn't knocking on the house last night. It was knocking under it. By evening, Lee started coughing. He said his throat burned. I thought maybe it was the heat or his nerves, but when I lifted his chin, I saw small red marks form along his neck, like something had pressed fingers there last night. Mama said maybe he scratched himself, but the bruises were too clean, too even. I told myself not to panic. That's what the dark wants, to feed off fear. Still, I sat up all night listening. No knocking this time, no wind, just a faint hum coming from the woods, far away, familiar. And somehow I swear they were calling my name. I need James to come home soon. He'd know what to make of all this. He'd fix the door and clean the rifle and talk sense into my fear. Till then, it's just me, and Lee. And the dark. One day at a time. One day at a time. Lucille Ann Rivers.